Adelian, a city where commerce was most actively developed in the northeast due to the existence of the Warp Gate. When he got to Adelian, which was full of people, Lucas put on his robe and headed to the auction house. Guest number 23. Yes. The waiting line was long. Because the Adelian auction house was known for its reliable work, Lucas was number 23. After leaving people's eyes behind, he moved to the examination room and held out his sword at the words of the employee who wanted to check them. It will only be a moment. The employee put his gloves on and raised the sword with careful movement as he checked the object by shining light on it. Oh! His eyes changed. The magical artifact would change to 7 colors depending on the strength of the object, and the blue light lingered on the sword. And it wasn't just that. The feeling from the sword was unusual. As someone who worked at an auction house and looked at a lot of swords, it was rare to see a weapon like this. The staff asked, "How do you plan to conduct the auction?" "We will conduct the auction anonymously. Free competition doesn't guarantee a minimum winning bid. And a fee of 10% is added, is that fine?" "Yes." Free addition. Was that a flower of this auction too? The condition of the item was quite good, and the employee decided that he had to get more information. "I do not think it is right for me to judge the value of the sword with my abilities. In order to win a high price in the auction, I have to know how great the value of this item is, so I will call for an expert and proceed with a more accurate assessment." Not long after, a person came. With his head held high, he extended his hand with a bright face. "I am Maurice. I am the one who manages the Adelian auction house. Nice to meet you." And they exchanged handshakes. There was no reason to waste time with pleasantries, so Maurice turned to the weapon expert who followed him. "Check it." "Yes." The expert sat down and looked at the sword, saying some similar stuff like the employee earlier. "Certainly the strength and sharpness of the sword are a prize to hold. It is rare to find a sword this well made. In addition, it is presumed that the sword's weight was moderately crafted by a skilled craftsman. Actually, it is standard practice to obtain at least 30 gold or more of these swords. I will test the mana reaction." It was another essential process of appraisal. How the sword would handle the mana could determine whether it was a sword used by an ordinary swordsman or an aura. Mana reaction was divided into 1 to 10. Only by reacting to at least any of those stages was it possible to earn the title of a treasured swordsman. Woom. Mana was infused into it. It was then that the response of the sword made the eyes of the expert widen. Uck! The sword strongly absorbed the mana. It had no restrictions on absorbing mana and was consuming it as if it were starving. This was by no means common. Some swords would break with even the slightest mana, but this one was accepting it a lot better. Furthermore, the power of the mana was amplified. It didn't just end with simple mana acceptance but showed a reaction that maximized the power of mana. This is nonsense. His eyes shone wildly. He had spent decades as an appraiser and seen many swords, but this was the first time he had ever seen anything like it. "What the hell is this? How great is it for you to react like that?" Maurice asked. He noticed the expert's expression, and the man looked at Maurice as he spoke loudly, wanting Lucas to know. "Mr. Maurice. It has a level 10 reactivity. No, it reacts completely to mana to the extent where the stages seem so meaningless, and rather it even amplifies the mana. What's even more shocking is that it is not a mana artifact. The power of a magician didn't even go through it, and yet the sword shows perfect synergy." Maurice seemed shocked. Level 10. This was an unprecedented figure in the history of the Adelian auction house. That evening, people flocked to the Adelian auction house. Due to the larger number of people than usual, people showed signs of being wary of others. Everyone must be having the same thought. The information about the special item that came, it is clear that everyone is aiming for it. Before the auction, Maurice spread a little bit of information. It felt important to have a good number of customers come in order for the goods to be paid for. "We need to attend this auction. I promise in my name, never before in the history of the Adelian auction house did something like this come. After such long auctions, the host smiled. Everyone. You have waited for too long. For today's main event, let me introduce you to the famous sword Blaze. Swish. He removed the cloth covering the object and threw it away. In an instant, a colorful light was focused on it, revealing the smooth figure of Blaze. Blaze displayed the blue light in the strength test. If that were all, this sword wouldn't have been put as the main event for the Adelian auction house. Blaze's true ability lies in its mana reaction. Was it a year back? A rapier called Needle showed a level 7 mana response and got sold for 300 gold. That is a huge amount. It was a huge advantage to show the excellent reactivity that the sword showed. Do not be surprised that Blaze's mana reaction is level 10. Not just that, but it has also demonstrated the ability to amplify the power of aura. We have done auctions for a lot of swords, but not once have I heard or seen anything like this. We will proceed with the auction now. The starting price will be 10 gold. At the words of the host. Whisper. People looked a bit shocked. They knew it was a great thing. So everyone raised their hands. In response to the announcement that the bid was starting, the host decided to start counting. Number 12 on 10 gold. Number 29, 20 gold. Number 18, 30 gold. From now on, we will proceed in units of 50 gold. Number 39, 100 gold. Number 41, 150 gold. Guest number 12 said to double it, so 300 gold in an instant. And the wall got crossed. This was expected. There had already been a successful bid like this, so they knew that 300 had to be touched. From now on, we moved to 100 gold. The price rose quickly, making the hearts of the people race. 100 gold, it was a price even the rich would think twice about. Using 100 gold wouldn't cause a financial loss, but investing that amount in a sword was something to think about. Because it didn't seem like it would be worth buying it for 100 gold. In a situation that would break through 500 gold in an instant, the people showed signs of hesitation. Finally, number 12 came with 600 gold. Wow! 600 gold. It was a huge amount. Even with a simple calculation, it could feed around 2,400 people a year, and it was an amount that most families couldn't even dare touch. Number 12 is now a celebrity. It was an expense that could be considered high, but the moment he heard the details about Blaze, he had to get it. It was then. From the other side, a signal was given, which made even the host's eyes turn wide. Number 53 just said to double the winning bid. 1,200 gold. This is totally unprecedented in the history of the Adelian auction house. Everyone immediately turned their heads. The people who recognized the face of the man fell into despair. A character who operates a merchantry that's active all over the continent, someone who's accumulated tremendous wealth. Although he always maintained neutrality within the political fights of the central government, when it comes to the items of excellence, he'd become a fighting cock that charges at his opponents. Adelian Auction House's VVIP Marquis Valentino. At this point, no one in the Cairo kingdom knew how big a wave his bidding offer would cause just yet. The host shouted. Number 53 calls double, making the auction price 1,200 gold. This price is unparalleled in the history of the Adelian auction house. Everyone looked at Valentino. Marquis Valentino. Cairo's great wealth. He clearly expressed his will to win the bid. The sword called Blaze. Listening to the presenter's explanation, Marquis Valentino immediately recognized how valuable Blaze was. The true value of Blaze is not simply because of its level 10 reactivity. In the meantime, many famous swords were sold in the Adelian auction house, but not one of them had level 10 mana reactivity. Needle was just 7. It did get a high value for it, but the symbolism of reaching level 10 is something not every weapon can achieve. It was the first, and the rarity alone fueled his desire to bid. However, the host said that it increases the ability of aura along with its mana response, and if that were true, it could display a shocking performance. Sword and magic sword. It is the dilemma of a swordsman. In order to use their aura with all their might, they had to wield a pure weapon. But in the case of mediocre weapons, the magic sword was preferred more as it could maximize the effect. One popular magic sword that enchanted its wielder was sharpness. However, when a swordsman reaches the level of a master or a ranker, the existence of a treasure sword that could fully utilize the aura is more worth it. This is something that any aura swordsman would want to covet, even if it means selling all their assets. And the first one of this type means a lot. If the craftsman who made this sword sends a second and third to the market, the value of Blaze, which is his first work, will increase even more. A collection of his recognition for its symbolism of being first and not lacking in levels of ability. It was the result of careful consideration of numerous factors, and Marquis Valentino had a strong desire. He wanted to get Blaze as a collector in Cairo. If such a sword is included in my collection, I would be quite happy. When he showed such a strong will, it felt right to take a step back. Finally, bang! Guest number 53 had bought it for 1,200 gold. The owner of the sword Blaze, the treasure that made the Adelian auction house noisy, would now be Marquis Valentino, a wealthy man from Cairo. The auction was over. In order to receive the winning bid, Marquis Valentino moved. With the huge purchase of 1,200 gold, Maurice smiled brightly at him. How do I proceed with the payment? I will pay you right away. That way, I will be able to take Blaze back with me. I understand. It was a way to live up to his reputation. One signal and his men brought a box of gold coins. Pointing inside the golden box, Marquis Valentino looked at Maurice and said, "It is 1,300 gold to be exact. The payment is 1,200 gold. How can I not know it? 1,200 gold is the price for the Blaze, and 100 gold is my personal payment for you. I am a clean trader. I know that the Adelian auction house follows anonymous sales pretty strictly, but with people like me, you have to be flexible until the end in order to keep me around. Can you tell me who the craftsman is? I would like to meet them in person. As long as he doesn't find out that I have anything to do with the Adelian auction house, he should be fine talking to me." It was the devil's whisper. A condition for the extra 100 gold. Marquis Valentino wanted to meet the craftsman. He had nothing to do with him. It was just out of curiosity about the man who created Blaze. Just how? How could this person make such a sword? I apologize. Sure. Maurice pushed the box away. With a determined attitude, Marquis Valentino took a step back. I can't do anything if you say that. Thank you for understanding my situation. No. It is a natural reaction from an auction house. However, next time that the same person's items come up, do inform me first. I understand. The transaction was completed smoothly. The money was paid. After receiving the item, Marquis Valentino checked the condition of Blaze once again. Amazing. A true art. The ability to craft smooth blades and mana. Even Marquis Valentino, who had collected numerous treasured swords, had never seen such work. So he called his men and ordered them. From now on, spread the word through Cairo. No matter how great a sword is, its value only increases when its greatness is known to people. And it is fine to invest money, so find the person who made Blaze. Perhaps, considering that it was the first trade to the Adelian auction house, it might be necessary to check in with the Dimitri house's blacksmith first. I understand. The greedy collector. Such a name wasn't given for nothing. He would surely find out the identity of the craftsman, and he would do anything to build a good relationship with him. Such pure desire. But what he expected from it wasn't that great. In the meantime, a lot happened outside during Roman's 1 month of training. The tournament was drawing near, and there wasn't much time left. As time went by, Chris worked even harder to prepare for it. Hook! Right ahead, the sword passed right in front of his face. Henderson aimed for Chris's loopholes and attacked, but Chris didn't waver. Such a reckless attack! He stomped on Henderson's feet, making him roll on the ground in pain, but he managed to get up quickly, only to have the wooden sword pointed at his neck. Henderson had a sad expression. No matter how many times they dueled, he couldn't smile, and it was hard to accept the fact that he was defeated so helplessly rather than experiencing some pain in his body. I lost. Putting in effort is quite nice, but you always lack sharpness when you attack. When you are in a fight, you should never forget that your opponent could always be baiting you. I will keep that in mind. The fight was over. Seeing Henderson retreating back at a slow pace, Chris said, "Next. The only people who have been confirmed apart from me are Kevin, Vulcan, and Pookie. 2 positions were left, and nothing was sure yet. It was unclear who would be chosen, and Chris didn't want anyone who could bring down the honor of Roman to be selected. And it was then. Rumble! There was an explosion at a distance. At that moment, Chris felt himself go stiff. Explosions in their town were common because they operated with mines, but the problem was that the source of the sound was in the area where Roman was doing his closed training.
If you want to know what happened to Roman, please leave a like and subscribe for more videos.